Hey there, Jon Chorba here from ReallyEasyGuitarLessons.com, and in this video lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play the live solo to While My Guitar Gently Weeps, which was performed in 2004 by Prince. And he played this with Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne, Steve Winwood, George Harrison's son, Danny Harrison, and a couple of other great musicians at a very iconic performance. So if you don't know the story behind this, in 2004, George Harrison from the Beatles was posthumously nominated or elected to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, same year as Prince was elected to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I believe the Harrison family wanted George's friends to put on a performance of While My Guitar Gently Weeps in honor of him. And Prince knew that they were doing that because he was being inducted too, and he asked if he could join in on the jam. And apparently, when they did the rehearsals for this, he played very reserved and was kind of shy and held back to the point where the other guys thought, does he even really want to do this? Prince was a weird guy, so, you know, who really knows what was going on through his head at any given moment. But it turns out he was being coy on purpose. He was playing very reserved just to hold back his showmanship for the actual performance. And, you know, if you've seen it, it's got over 120 million views on YouTube. It's iconic at this point. It's such an awesome performance, such an awesome solo. And it shows you that there are levels to this game, and Prince certainly operated on a completely different one from any of the rest of us. So this is a great solo. It's very long. You know, I believe it to be improvised heavily. It's what it sounds like, what it feels like. So getting a lot of these things to be note for note with, you know, 100% phrasing accuracy to Prince is very difficult. And really the biggest challenge with like learning this and being able to play it is remembering it, because it is so long. So here is what we're going to do. I've taken the solo and I've split it into 5 sections. So it's kind of like the whole thing is 5 mini solos. And then in each mini solo, I've separated that out into a number of licks, anywhere between 1 or 4 and 5 different licks per mini solo. And even with that, we might chunk some of those licks down into very small sections, right? So the way we're gonna go about this is gonna be a pretty long video lesson because it's a pretty long solo. I did a cover of this solo, so if you wanna see just the performance with the tabs scrolling on the screen, check out that video. It'll give you a clearer picture of, you know, what the whole thing is supposed to sound like, and you can kind of sync it up with the tab. But in this lesson, I'm just going to go through each lick. I'm going to put it on at a slower speed. We're going to loop it. We're going to get it in our ear. And then I'm going to play it and then instruct you on how you should play it, any kind of technique things or things to keep in mind as we go through lick by lick. I will point those out. One quick thing too, you know, I transcribed this by combining the official tab from Ultimate Guitar along with my own ear and some of the other video things I've seen on YouTube. But even still, it's not 100% accurate. I'm not a very good transcriber, and there are some parts of this that I really can't quite tell what is being played or how to do it exactly. But this will be close enough. This will be very, very close. And you're gonna learn a lot of cool little phrasing tricks. It's a lot of fun to play. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go lick by lick. Let's get started. All right, let's start with lick 1. I got the song slowed down 80% speed, and we might slow it down more in certain spots. So we're just gonna listen to this first lick, get it in our ear. I'll demonstrate it, and then, you know, break it down, walk you through it. Okay, so that sounds like this. So we got a bend on the 15th fret of the B string. So we're in the key of A minor, and for the most part, A minor pentatonic is the framework. He does throw in some notes from the Dorian mode. I'll point those out as we go, but just kind of breaking down the nuts and bolts here. So 15th fret, full step bend, hold the bend, and then we're gonna start doing these little ghost bends on it where you bring it down a little bit in pitch and bring it back up. And you could play with, you know, if you want to match what Prince does, listen to how deep he goes with those bends, but you could play with that there. You know, you could make them more weepy by bringing them back to the original pitch. It sounds to my ear, he's just bringing it down a little bit. And then he lands on that 15th fret note unbent with a good amount of vibrato. Then does 13 of the B, bend, pull off to 14 of the G with vibrato. All right, let's take a listen to the next lick. Okay, so with this one, we finished the last lick on the 14th fret of the G string with vibrato. Take our ring finger, and we're on 16 of the D, which this is the note that gives it the Dorian flavor. And then I'm gonna roll, do a little rolly to 16 of the G string. And I'm doing a hammer pull off. So I only picked the string once on 16 and 14. To 17 of the G. Little bend, and then back to 14 of the G. And then 14, 16. A little bend, release, pull off. And then this is kind of like, you know, just making noise as you go down here. And then, you know, he's kind of like doing something like, I take massive liberties in this section. As long as you catch that double stop there, it'll sound good. Sometimes I'll do that da-da-da-da-da. Makes it a little more aggressive. All right, let's take a listen to the next lick. All right, now we're on the 7th fret of the B string. So the whole motif for that, again, that's another Dorian note. He's bending this F sharp up to a G. That gives it the Dorian sound. So he's really just bending that up a half step, bringing it down, or either pulling off or picking that 5th fret of the B, and just repeating that. You gotta listen to get the rhythm right. And then he finishes it with a bend on that 8th fret of the B string. And then the little blues thing at the end of it. Bend, release, pull off. G string 7, 5 of the B, pull off, G to, and land on the room of the D string. Now this next lick is a connector lick. It ends solo 1 and then starts solo 2. So again, the way I broke down the solos It's based on the chord progression. The chord progression, I believe, is 16 measures. And so every 16 measures, I consider that a new solo. So this lick ends the first part, ends solo 1 and starts solo 2. Let's take a listen to it. Okay, so this one's not that hard. Sliding in on the A string of 7, 5/7 of the D, 5/7 the G. And then either you could slide or hammer on here. You're going from 8 of the G to 9 of the G. It looks to me on the video of him playing it, he's hammering onto it. You could easily slide and it'll have the same effect, but the idea is you're just hammering and repeating that lick. And the key thing is how long you're doing that for. I kind of just break it down. I'm listening for the fourth beat of this. So like you have this lead in here on this measure, and then you kind of start the lick, and it's 2 measures of just jamming on it. And then on that third measure, right at beat 4, you're gonna start doing some slide noises. All right, I'll play along with it here. Give myself a 4 count. All right, here's the next lick. So now, after you do that little slide throw off from the previous part, you're just doing this little pedal thing on the high E string. Fret a note, 12, and then 3 open E strings. Then change the note to 10, then change the note to 8, and then change the note to 7, and then stay on open. So da 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 da, and then finish it 8, 7. Hammer pull, 8 of the B, slide into 10 of the B. And then when you're on that 10th fret of the B, you're gonna bend it, which that's the root note. So this is a kind of a cool thing because, when you're on the newer side of stuff, sometimes I will tell my students, when they're improvising, don't bend the root note, because if you bend it incorrectly, it's going to sound pretty bad, right? But here, if you bend it right and you bend it up to pitch, a full step up, you're bending it up to the 9th of the chord, creating this cool sound. So you bend it up, and then give the listener the root by going 8 of the B, 10 of the B, that's the root with vibrato. Next lick. Okay, so this is starting off with a big slide throw thing, and it's tough to get it as tight as Prince. He's really good at it. The trick is you don't want to go too fast. You don't want to slide it. If you watch him in the video, he really takes his time just making this long slide up and then back down, and then he catches the 17th fret of the B string and the 20th fret of the B string. And then you're gonna bend that 20th fret up with vibrato. Then unbent, and then back up with vibrato. And then when you get to the end of it, we got 2 bends there. And then we're gonna bend the high E of 20. So we got the slide. And then moving into this next part, which you're gonna be on the high E of 20, bending that. I'm just gonna grab the tab right here, take a listen. So again, 20 of the E string is where we're at. Hammering big bends there. And then he's hitting 17 of the E. And he's starting this little rhythm. (17 and 20). Then he speeds it up. And he's hitting 20 with tremolo picking, and he slides off of it. Moving into the third solo here. Okay, so we're just got a little scale climb. D string, 2, 4, 5, and then 5, 7, 4 of the G, 5 of the G, 7 of the G. So you're giving each note 4 strums, 4 picks. Down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up. 5. Now you're gonna hang on this note twice. Dot, 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 dot. Then 7. 4 of the G, 5 of the G, 7 of the G. Until you get to 9 here, which you could do pull-offs or just trills. And a little bit of vibrato on that last note. And then he ends it with another one of those classic throws. Tell you what, learning this solo, doing the throws and trying to get them to be tight has been one of the most challenging parts and the most fun, because when you get them right, it makes it sound awesome. But when you get them wrong and it's sloppy, it's not awesome. All right, let's move to the next part. So this one, this is probably the section of the solo that I improvise the most and deviate kind of from what Prince does. So right after that throw, he does this little, it's almost like a throwaway lick, because the next one is so much more impactful. And you can hear it's like, especially at a slow speed. If I put it on normal speed, it's really hard to hear to make out exactly what he's doing. So this is, again, this tab is a Frankenstein of a couple of other people that have transcribed it along with my own kind of stuff. So if I'm gonna go off the tab here, I got a da 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 da. Sorry, if I go off the tab here, I got da da da, da da da, da da da, and then doing stuff like that. I honestly, right, just make noise here in that pentatonic position 1. As long as you are playing for the right amount of time over these 2 measures, I feel like you could take as many liberties as you want. Moving in now to this lick, this is now where he, if you watch the video, where he starts falling into the crowd being probably a paid security guy that knew that he was going to do it and fully expected it, and it's part of his job, and would get fired if he let him fall. Okay, so here, it's a 3-note phrase. Pick the 12, pull off to open, and then pick the open. And then do the same thing with the 10th fret, and then back to 12, and then back to 10. So you do 12, 10, 12, 10 with a 3-note phrase. And then when you go back to 12, you do a 4-note phrase. So you just add 1 extra open string. So da 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 da. And then you just repeat that 3 times. And then at the end of that, you go up to 12 and 15. And then you're gonna finish that all with a nice big bend. So and this is when he's firmly in the crowd and just letting that last bend ring out. And then now here he activates a wah, it sounds like. I don't have a wah hooked up at all, so this is gonna be without wah, but here's what we got with this lick. Okay, 15th fret, B string. Bending, and then picking 15, 13. Da 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 da, and then 14 of the G string. And then now this is probably the fastest part of the song. And you could make this a little bit easier by doing some pull-offs. I'm pretty sure he's picking everything, but you could do pull-offs. So after you stick the landing here, let's take a listen to it first. Let's get it in our ear. So you stick the landing on the 14th fret. You're just doing this pattern of 10, 13, 10, 12. Da, 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 da. And he speeds it up. So he goes from doing 16th notes to 16th note triplets. This is what I'm saying. You could, it's hard to pick it, you got to watch out for string noise here. You could easily just do pull-offs. And then finish it Up here with a bend on the 20th fret of the E string. We didn't get to that yet, but it's coming. It's right here. So here's the next part. Okay, so we're getting 20th fret of the E string. And then this little follow-up lick. So after those bends, pull off. I'm gonna break this into groups of 4. Gotta pull off. Da-da-ba-ba. And then on the B string only, da-da-da-da. And then across the G and the B. And then the last 4. Do it nice and slow. And give it some vibrato at the end of that bend. And then on that note that you're bending, you are hanging out on that. Listen to the rhythm of it. Massive vibrato. In fact, when I play this, I over-exaggerate the vibrato. So you're just hanging out on that one note and just crushing vibrato. And then now this next part, man, I cannot for the life of me figure out exactly what he's doing here. So if you could figure it out, please teach it to me, because it's a weird lick, and the way I end up playing it is I just try to emphasize the cool little descending thing that I hear. So, I mean, that just, honestly, what that reminds me of is the song Cult of Personality by Living Colour, like just this weird, noisy, crazy soundy thing. So, my best guess, like I'm hearing that, this 17 of the B to 19 of the G, and then just descending to 16, 17, and then 15 of the B to 17 of the D and slide off it. So again, my best guess, I can't really play this correctly. And we're going into the next part. So I'm gonna play my little thing along with it. Close. Not 100%, but good enough. All right, now for the fun octave lick. All right, so this ends solo 4, sets up the beginning of solo 5. Let's listen. All right, so with these octave licks, I'm gonna play the octave chords the way that I know how to do it, which is the E string, your root note with your index finger, and then the high root note on the D string with your ring finger and the index finger, just muting out that A string. So I could play 3 strings, but only hear 2 notes. If you watch Prince play it, he uses his thumb on the low root note, and I think he even uses his middle finger on the high root note, and he uses that to move around, which is strange. I've never really seen anybody do octave chords like that, but I'm gonna do it the way I'm comfortable with. So this is on the 5th fret, and then 7, 8, back to 7. Down to 3, down to open, and then when I do that open again, trying to mute the A string. It's pretty tricky. You have to maybe use 2 fingers so that you're not getting a full chord. You just want the octave sound. and then 2 to 3, 2 to open. That last one's more like kind of like a pull off. So I have. And then now we're into solo 5, which is again octave chords. Let's take a listen first. So again, octave chords, 8, 10, and then the next one's 12, but he gets into it by sliding, right? So we got 3 times on 8, 3 times on 10, and then hanging on 12, then 15, 14, 15, 14, 15, 13, 15. With that da 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 da. Getting close to the end here. Listen to this one. So here now we're just on power chords. So he does like a power chord and a little fill. There's the first one, da da da, ba ba da, and then bam bam bam. This one's not exactly what he does, but I think it sounds cool. If you just do a little bend, half step bend, release, pull off. Especially if you give a little squeal. And then 2 of the E, hammer on the D, and then this little walk down. Na, 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 so here's the whole thing. Do that again. And now we are at the end of the song. Well, almost. More power chords here. Just da da da, wa da da, wa da 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 da, na na na, na na na, na na na, na na. And then finishing us all out here with this little piece. So we're going up to the 15th fret, big bend, add the 12 in before the bend, pull off, bring it down a half step, and bring it back up. And then up to 20, 2019, hammer pull, 2017 B and E, and then a little bend, release, pull off, and then the whole ending is just going to be he pulls off that 17th fret with some vibrato before the whole thing ends. That is a long, long solo. So my best advice on how to approach this is 100% go lick by lick like we did. If you have Guitar Pro, use the Guitar Pro file. Easiest way to do this because you could just highlight one small little section And then the process is just download that sound into your head with understanding what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to sound like. Program your hands to make those correct movements and motions. Watch the video to get further clarification. But practice with the intention of not needing tab, not needing the video. You're just thinking in the sound and trying to recreate it. And you're doing that at as slow of a speed as you need to so that you don't make too many mistakes. Okay? And then go lick by lick. Take lick one, solo one, lick one, solo one, lick two. And then once you get, 1 or 2, 3 or 4 licks, somewhat memorized, it doesn't have to be 100%, then start working on transitioning between them so that way you could, smooth everything out. And then just repeat that for every lick in the solo, every section of the solo, small chunks, stack the chunks. And as you're doing that, if you could practice to the track and then practice to the backing track with the guitar removed, that will allow you to make sure that you're thinking in music and giving the best, possible experience of, what it's like to play the solo. Because if you're always playing along with, the recording and you're hearing Prince play, his playing will mask your playing, and, you could be thinking you're playing everything right, but if you remove the guitar, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I'm not playing that as right as I thought I was, and that's when you really know it, when you can remove the guitar and play to a backing track and see how well all of that stuff translates when you are the guitar player. That's the ultimate test. So work through it in those kind of steps. Get it in your ear, want small chunks, slow down, loop, get it in your ear, instruct your hands to do what they need to do, start stacking chunks together, play along to the recording at slow speeds, and then play along to a backing track at slow speeds, and then over time, work to increase the speed. That's all there is to it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get a lot of it. It's a lot of fun to play. I'll see you next time.